Feature for April 13, 2026. More than made the page. A note from the Director of Communications. In keeping up with the good news of our province, I have tons of conversations in person, over the phone, and by text or email, and so much of what I hear and learn doesn't fit into our stories. Since our associates, brothers, priests, young people, and friends have so much joyful insight to share, I gathered up some of the best stuff from the notes that didn't make it into my first year of stories to share all together here. Hope you enjoy coming on the way with Viatorians, and thank you for reading. Associate Dan Masterton. Our Around the Province, March 15 to 21, 2025 article included a mention of a book talk, a webinar on kids in cages. Father Corey Brost contributed to that webinar, discussing the chapter he and Brother Michael Gosh wrote on their experience with young people and immigration. Here's more from his turn in the panel, with stats as of early 2025. Hope, Healing, and Opportunity leads to 22 high school graduations, 32 driver's licenses, and more milestones that facilitate young people's reclaiming their agency instead of being handcuffed, shackled, and taken to jail cells. Through our dialogue with immigration authorities and support from legal partners, we receive these young men, and we provide each one an access code to come and go from our home, a key to a private room, and a birthday cake to celebrate together. Celebrating the identity of our participants is key, so we place a flag in our stairwell for the country of each young man who is part of our community. We also celebrate their talents, so we display the artwork our men make alongside those national identities. Later, in March, we featured the history of the Kairos retreat in our province, as St. Viator High School held its 100th Kairos. Father John Van Weel had been on about half of those first 100 retreats, and he had more reflections than fit in the article. Kids often have their noses in their phones, but you can't take your phone with you on Kairos. For a few days, the only people you have are those on retreat with you. So they really started sharing with one another and could grow in a unique way because of it. Kairos prompts teens to spend serious time exploring religious concepts, not least realizing the nature and depth of their parents' love by sharing their experience and listening to peers. Often, this faith exploration could also help them develop their family lives. And Kairos masses were meaningful because of the smaller group and the greater student involvement. For families whose parents didn't take the kids to Mass, Kairos might have helped inspire them to get back to going. It was time to step back from simply learning and memorizing and testing. They could see the positive faith example of their peers and try to follow that. Teens perhaps begin to believe differently and more because they were learning their faith from their peers. In May, we dug into the purpose and impact of public witness and why and how Viatorians practice this social action. Bishop Chris Glancy shared a bit about his inspiration for this stand, and this is a chance to share his reflection in full altogether. I was proud to stand with my brothers and sisters who are immigrants. Some held signs that they were once considered essential workers, and now they are being treated like disposable people. We were a clear sign of the support of at least one part of the church for immigrants. I know that one of my grandfathers of Irish origin came to the U.S. to work in a coal mine in the town of Lovington near Decatur, Illinois. They fought for workers' rights back in the day, and we continue to do that today. It reminds me of Father John McGuire, who worked directly with unions fighting for workers' rights in their ministry. Our witness testifies to the dignity of each human person, their right to live here securely, and work with a just wage for the good of their family. I very much felt part of that broader human family, and in solidarity with my brothers and sisters who feel threatened. Viatorians are walking with our people, witnessing to our desire to build justice and peace. In July, Archbishop of New York Ronald Hicks was still Bishop of Joliet, and he visited Camp Mosh at Maternity of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church to offer a talk and visit with the community. His many stories and reflections didn't all fit in the article, so here's a bonus one. Those who believe in God gain life eternal through this love. This love is based in a real person, in God who became man, and this is unique to our religious belief. You're going to want to go to church. You're going to want to participate and come to know God more. You're not going to just do religious things out of fear. We're invited to become more than just consumers. We can't say we will only go if we like the music or we like the preaching. We can't say, well, I'll go find brunch or I'll go golf. At the end of the day, we're receiving God's Word, God's body, blood, soul, and divinity. When you know God and love God, you go beyond being a consumer. In December, we featured four of our Viatorians who are Eagle Scouts. Their stories and reflections on the lasting impact of scouting were immense, and we want to add this whole story that we quoted from Jason Nesbitt. There was a lot of mentoring and teaching, both receiving it and helping younger scouts working through their stuff. Guiding others through merit badge exercises was probably my first real experience of teaching and servant leadership. This showed me what it takes to convince people and get them on board with you. Speaking to a group to prepare them for something like a scouting skills competition gave me opportunities to lead practices, encourage people, and help lead an effective group experience that we could celebrate together. And if you got too pushy or rude, you saw the negative response to that and how ineffective that approach can be. You can learn these lessons of servant leadership and teaching others. In January, we explored how our associates bring our Catholic Viatorian values into careers outside the church. Associate Larry Durso had rich stories from his career as a librarian, and this short story that didn't fit in the article is worth sharing here. In Mount Prospect, as the homelessness problem grew, I often had to address with customers the homeless person who was sitting in the corner at the library. One time, a woman came up to me and questioned why that person was sitting inside. I told her that I only knew that he was homeless and that it could be me, but for the grace of God go I. And somehow that was enough to help her understand. In February, we went in depth on how Viatorian Youth Congress leadership training and experience shaped Viatorian young adults. Michael Schumacher had many reflections on this lasting impact, and this additional insight is a good one that didn't appear in that original story. Learning to lead discussions in a questions focused way is a lasting skill. That leadership experience in VYC focused me on helping my group's teens discover things for themselves, rather than me telling them something. For me, in my friendships and my faith life, the most effective way of evangelization is to engage folks by asking them what they're thinking, or to share where they're coming from. It follows me into everyday discussions and the relationships I build. To keep up with all of our Viatorian news, you can always visit our homepage or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, or LinkedIn. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which alerts you of new podcast episodes and the news video that comes out each week. You can also sign up to receive our Friday e-newsletter to round up the news of the week, as well as to receive our free twice-a-year magazine to your mailbox at home.